Okay, at some point we should start, right? Well, now I will be curious if they are gonna claim this one as well, because this is all just for your information. This song is Skype Cave from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. So this is not a rap music right here, even if it can be a little bit close to it. Nope, it's a Pokemon song again. Now you should be able to see me. Now you should be able to hear me as well. But I can actually show you what it looks like. Right here. Just a little bit of information right here. So, let's see. Change it to the reading session right here. Let me fix this a little bit. No, it was not claimed by Pokemon. It was not claimed by Nintendo or anything. No, it was claimed by a rapper. It was claimed by one person. And I will show you this. This is what I see. Copyright claims. It actually thinks that the song is Iced Out Dreams by Young Boy Polo Visage. I listened to the song and it has nothing to do with the original song that is playing. And this is the stupid thing right here. I can mute it. It mutes like half of the video. That's not gonna work. I can replace the song. Again, I'm talking through it, so that's not gonna work either. I can dispute it. And here should be another point right here. I can claim its original content, which is not true. I didn't make that song. I can say that I have a license to it. Nope. It's fair use, that's true, but it's not, because it's not that song that he is claiming to be. Or public domain. No, it's actually not in public domain. There should be another point right here that I should choose. It's a fake claim, because that song is not from 1 RPM. But I'm not gonna deal with this right now. It's a long process. So we are here to read, right? And we have wasted too much time already with that. And I was basically just calming down with my coffee. I basically mostly drank all of it. Are you ready to continue? I hope this is the... Yep, this is the part where we ended off. I remember the part when they said, I know one dark pony whose flank needs a good kicking. No, that claim was never there. That point was never there. That it's a false claim. For some reason. But I will still point out that it's a false claim, but that's gonna be later. I will do that off the screen. Because obviously I have to add my real information as well to these. That's the problem with this. It takes a long time. But we know some dark ponies whose flag needs a good kicking, so let's just stop this music. This is a little bit too cheery. It was good for a starting point, but we don't need this. We are gathering in front of Samra. I don't know which music should I start with. How long is this? We have a little bit. Okay, let's start with Icicle Forest. Should be fine. Claim before the storm for this first scene, or something Arctic. Well, it is Icicle Forest. The names of all 4 companions, Princess Celestia, Featherwind, Stirwing, and Vision, all blew in the dark and icy winds of the frozen north. They faced the direction of a hellish-looking volcano ahead of them, which had a dark cave at the base. They hesitated for, despite the uncomfortable biting winds of the frozen north. They all sensed this was the calm before the storm. What lies ahead could be one of the greatest challenges they might ever face, and for some, it was more than one kind of battle. Featherwind's face, in particular, scrunched up with fear and regret. It was such a painful prospect for him to finally face the dark half of a pony he looked up to for so many years. He had always known Crystal Sage, and by extension, his more innocent younger self, as a strong, warm, compassionate, loyal, mysterious, and deep pony that always gave him a sense of comfort and strength. A great deal of what he accomplished to this day was thanks to his one mentor. To imagine that same pony as his bitter enemy, twisted his guts with pain. He saw a glimpse of that side of him when the younger Sombra momentarily lost his temper against the temporal clone of the corrupted Garple. It was terrifying to behold. What if I just putting him on a pedestal? I always hated when that happened to me, and I usually felt sympathy for others when it happened to them, but in this case, he just had an aura about him that felt like it set him apart and as above and beyond and any other pony, both for good and for evil. Something about that moment felt strangely inevitable to Featherwind. Ever since he heard about Sombra's existence from his uncle many years ago, he always felt deep down that he was on a collision course against another powerful mover and shaker in the world. Every step he took since then seemed to try to prepare him for this moment. Noticing his distress, his wife placed a hoof on his shoulder, which drew his attention towards her. I know what you are thinking and feeling at this moment, because I feel that way too, Stirwing consoled. He has been my friend too for many years, and I know how much we have all grown to trust and depend on him. I know how unbearable it might feel to imagine him as an enemy, but try to remember, you are wearing his real soul on your neck even as we speak. The thing that is out there in the cave is no more real than all the illusions the Darkstar tried to attack us with. It's true that this copy can affect the physical world better, but it's basically the same premise. The reason King Sombra is irredeemably evil is because he is incomplete. He lacks what he requires to have a true free will. Instead, he is just a puppet of the Darkstar. He is an empty and soulless copy, and quite frankly, a mockery of a dear friend of ours. I say this sad and pathetic copy of our dear and beloved friend doesn't deserve our respect or fear, because it didn't do anything to earn it. To feel otherwise is to cheapen and belittle the memory of our dear friend. Don't give this thing any comparison to our friend, because it does not deserve such an honor. Nor does our friend deserve such the same comparison. To me, this thing will always be nothing more than the Dark King. I won't even call it Sombra anymore. It doesn't deserve to wear such a noble name, and the legacy was fairly earned with it. Featherwind goes soft smile while he regarded his wife. Thanks. You always know what to say to me. Let's do this! Vision cried out excitedly. Don't worry, we had a lot of silence until she cried out. I have one piece of evidence for you all before we proceed in, Celestina announced, causing the others to pause and listen to her. Real or not, that thing is in there uses fear as its primary weapon. Take a moment to pause and assess yourselves. Do not dwell on your fears. That only gives it more power. Instead think, and more importantly feel, all the memories and motivations that gives you courage. Courage is the last thing the Dark King would want you to feel. So, it is the one thing we must all hold close to our hearts as we proceed inside. For me, what gives me strength and courage is the love I feel for all my beloved subjects, yourselves included. I will fight to the last of my breath to protect you all and my subjects, and I will not allow this mockery to continue to plague my subjects any further. It must be stopped! Celestia cried out in bold defiance. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna shout. Obviously because I don't have too much voice. I use it up in work. Featherwind took a moment to do as Celestia requested, and since every other pony was quiet as well, he assumed they did the same for themselves. While clearly Featherwind's friends and family flashed before his mind, including all his time-clone friends in the ancient past. Many of them were copies based on the ponies, who had not existed yet. However, while they traveled with him, they exuded some wonderful fullness and life. It was an honor to get to know each and every one of them. One by one, he thought of them all, turning to look at him and smile at him in their own distinctive way. You mean the scene in the Evangelion? Maud, for example, was the most subtle smile of all, but he got to know her well enough to look deeply in her eyes and see the true depths of her feelings. The lack of expressive emotion does not always equate to actually lacking emotion. Congratulations! Yeah? He thought of them all, his wife smiling, the main six smiling, of which Pinkie Pie was especially good at. He thought of Sombra smiling at him with deep love in his eyes, and that image easily transferred to the Crystal Sage as well. For a brief moment, that image quickly shifted to a terrifying glare, but Featherwind quickly shut that mental image down. No, I know what the real Sombra is like now. I faced the darkness of my own soul at many times. It wasn't easy, but my understanding of myself made it much easier. I chose to accept my darkness, so it, in return, chose to accept me. Sombra didn't make that same choice, however. He was always a fighter at heart. Even when he did it for the right reasons, he always drew up rage and aggression to vanquish his enemies. But there was still something very noble about that, when the source of his anger was actually love. It made him so powerful, seemingly almost invincible at times. But the mockery of Sombra lacks any trace of love in his heart, so in a way, that means he is far weaker since he can draw upon the most powerful emotion of all. It will always mean that he does not want something as badly as somebody who actually does draw their strength from love. The good Sombra lost against the evil counterpart when they directly fought each other, while the dark half had more magic at the time. If the magic had been even, I think the good side would have won, because he fought to protect his love and the citizens of Crystal Empire. Even at a disadvantage, I can easily imagine that the good Sombra pushed himself to a degree that surprised his opponent. Since the Dark King wasn't able to understand the source of that strength anymore, he was baffled why his opponent fought that stubbornly. But I know the answer, and I will use it to defeat this mockery. Beware, Dark King! Featherwind and his beloved friends are coming for you at last. Come all you want, dear child. I'm waiting. I can't imagine Sombra hearing all of that. Again, Persona style. Facing the darkness in that cave went pretty much as Featherwind expected. His experience against the horrors of the Dark Star and Puppet Master's lair somewhat desensitized him against otherwise oppressive, crushing darkness that lay beneath the ice and snow. The light of his horn, as well as Celestia's combined, barely limited anything beyond his protective field. Normal light reflects off of crystals very well, but in this case, it just sank into it and refused to bounce the light to any other crystal in the cave. It made it look like they were surrounded by a void of empty darkness, and they could only see it when the black crystal drew close enough to penetrate through the Princess Celestia's protective field. Which, actually you should be aware of. I mean, Featherwind, you learned crystal magic. If you know that these crystals are basically eating light, that means they are gathering energy from the light. Also, that light is going somewhere. It's not reflecting. I'm pretty much sure that Sombra already knows that you are there. It was basically an alert system. If somebody with a light source going in is basically just a big alert to him that, oh hey, they are there in my caves, I can follow them wherever they go because they are stupid and they are using light sources in my cave. But I've set up all these crystals, these black crystals. We know those, yes, crystals. Yeah, we know he's able to set up an herb system. The circumstances made Featherwind realize the future time copy of the princess would have done this too. If the version of the princess knew of this protective spell, then surely her future self would have known it as well. With the presence of the Crystal Heart, however, it made it far more efficient to allow the Crystal Heart to do the work instead of relying upon the princess's ever-dwindling magic supply, used to constantly maintain this taxing spell. Hopefully, she had enough magic to help them. Go in, destroy the gathered narrative energy, then get out. This was not a long campaign march this time. This was a quick dungeon raid. That's all they could afford to do, and that's all they needed to do. I have a feeling that Featherwind also played Ogres and Oubliettes. He's using quite distinctive words. Campaign march, quick dungeon raid. And because we know that he didn't have too many friends, he probably played it with... I wanted to say that he played it with Sterling, but I actually forgot that Discord was there. It was not the time clone of Discord. It was the real Discord. I'm not sure if Bishop would play it, because she would basically just cheating. She would be just cheating with her dice rolls all the time. Spike and Discord were there in the past. Yep. We didn't know anything about Big Mac. Nope. But hey, who knows? Welcome, spoke a sinister voice out in the darkness. What delicious looking slaves you are. I look forward to breaking your spirit, and then the real fun begins. Faramir shuddered to hear that voice. He could hear Sombra and the Crystal Sage voice in there, but just barely. It felt as eerie as looking at the face that was just a little off. It was like watching a mannequin come to life. Its close resemblance to a living thing, but something off about it was really off-putting. Again, his wife paused for a moment to put a hoof on his shoulder. This time she did not say anything. She just touched him and allowed that to communicate her feelings. It really had. Just as she promised so long ago, Stormwind really had done everything in her power to protect her friends. You will not break us, Fiend! Celestia's God aloud. We have the light of our love and friendship on our side. It is more powerful than anything you could ever draw upon. Go back to the darkness you came from! You shall not pass! I'm sorry, I just had to. That's not all that you have brought me. The voice said with a sinister hiss. You have all brought your fears with you as well. I can't wait to taste it. We are going to get to know each other oh so well soon. Celestia toned down the dramatics. Dice, we know that later in the series she is still not good at acting. Come, let us start our introductions. I know why you have come, and I welcome you to try and stop me. Pride comes before the fall, as they say. They will know that soon enough. The group had a lot of movement about them, and felt in their hooves. A great deal of crystals moved themselves out of their way. The sickly purple and greenish light grew in the direction they were facing, and it will made their path. It makes things easier to see, but not by much. They could see the lights themselves, but nothing else between them, making them seem to float in a void of hungry darkness. Well, I can say that this is a downfall of every supervillain. They think themselves way too high and mighty to actually hide and flee or something. They think that they are unstoppable, and they do not fear anything that they should fear. But what am I talking about? He is the fear itself. At least he thinks himself as it is. But nope. Yeah, but all that is in characters for King Sombra. Yep, that's true. Well, this is Fortuitous. Wait, Fortuitous. How do you say that word? I have to check that. I know the word, I just don't know how to say it.
Fortuitous.
Okay, it's a fortuitous. Kinda. We didn't say it with a grin. He's inviting us all the way to our main objective. I sense the hunger is gathering of dark energy directly ahead of the path that is created in front of us. Pride does come before the fall. What did I just say? That is something he will learn soon enough. Could just click the read in the document. I know, but if I click read, it starts from here. It starts from the first part. It doesn't read only the word. King Sombra was always pretty arrogant, Celeste said, but for good reason. If he's inviting us to the heart of his lair, he's doing so with a plan in mind. Starving crouched in a pose that seemed ready for a charge. She even pawed at the ground a bit. Well, I know one thing the doctor would say to us in a situation like this. Well, I'm out. Allons-y. See a trap ahead of us, prepared by the enemy, then charge straight into it like an idiot. Well, he would say it's the last thing the enemies would expect. Celeste giggled a bit before saying fondly, "Ah, that does sound like the doctor. Come on then, let's be brave, heroic fools." Starving invited. You said to keep courage close to our hearts, after all, and he's leading us straight to our primary objective. Let us accept this offer before he changes his mind. You know he can hear everything you say aloud, right? Featherwind checked. So? Let him hear. I'm going to beat you, Dark King, you hear me? Your days of terrorizing innocent ponies are over. Stabbing called into the darkness boldly. The Dark King only response was to laugh maniacally. Through the laugh, he called distantly. That's a taste of that motto right there. You don't know what it is? But one of my friends knows. It's in that joke. Enough said. Vision trotted forward boldly. Let's beat this creep. Celeste had to raise her head a bit to make sure Vision stayed in the heart's warming barrier. In the heart's warming barrier, since the young filly charged ahead. She then looked over her shoulder to make sure Featherwind and Storming were also remaining in the field behind her, and they were. Yes! Come closer, my pets! Closer! Oh, I can already taste your anguish, your fears, and it is so delicious. The dark voice called ahead, and it sounded closer as they made their way down the passageway. You will be singing a different tune when I'm through with you, Vision assured. My sonic eyes can do a little to wood, but Bristol? Oh ho 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 ho! Yeah, in for a treat! Bam! Critical attack! It's super effective! Okay, now we are assured that Vision was playing Ogres and Oubliettes as well. Now we are sure of that. Celeste gave Featherwind and Starming a questioning look due to Vision's obscure comment, which Starming replied. She has been hanging around the doctor and this got too long. Celestia passed an "Ah, I see" expression. Then she realized something amiss. Then looked back at Starming with alarm and asked, Discord? Yeah, Discord should be trapped in stone at this point. Oh, shoot! Starming kicked herself for not realizing that was suspicious information for this time period. She glanced at her husband for advice on how to amend this. Well, when we travel through time and space, we saw lots of crazy stuff, had I been informed. If you don't want to know more, don't ask. Huh, probably good advice, Celeste agreed as she looked forward again. I don't know too much about the future as it is, and I would rather leave it as a surprise as much as I can. Celeste thought more on it. She lamented aloud to herself. I always wished I could have more amicable friendship with Discord. If his powers could ever be reformed for goodness, I would be willing to free him from his stone prison in a heartbeat. Alas, it seems very unwise to ever trust him. Hearing that caused a lot of concern to flash between Featherwind and Stirwing. Looking back at him, Stirwing tilted her head towards Celestia twice, as to say silently urge, say something. Your Majesty? I have something to say to you on this subject, and don't worry, it's not about the future. It's more like a general advice. I can already say, I can already see Princess Celestia just looking at. No spoilers! After Featherwind said that, he won Princess's attention back. Like another pony I met in the ancient times always said, it's important that we never abandon hope. Hope keeps the spirit within us alive and strong. Hope is our vision for a better future, and if we keep it in our hearts, it may actually become reality someday. Your wish for Discord, for example, is something I feel you should never abandon. Even if you don't have the resources to accomplish that goal now, someday you might, so it's important to never give up and keep on looking. As well as an immortal, you might find plenty of opportunities to accomplish this goal over time. With infinite time comes infinite chances. That alone could gradually transform that which is unlike into an inevitability. Featherwind? That line right there is a sure spoiler. Because this shows Celestia that that Discord is gonna be probably be remodeled. Let's just say, or reformed. They use that word. Why, Featherwind, you sure have grown up a lot. Celestia said with pride. It is rare for any little pony to concern me in a way that feels meaningful, but it does happen every once in a while, and I always cherish when it does. As all that I am forever still just growing up myself. I remember your advice and keep searching for a way to help reform Discord. I will apply that same advice to every other aspect of my life as well. She gave a sad, sideways glance. Like my sister, she said with deep longing. Yeah, he's just saying, but the timing is really wrong right there. They are talking about Discord. It's too late. They can't deal with this anymore. The spoiler was already said aloud. The Discord was there. It is a big hint of the future. Also, this might be the reason why she actually gave a second chance for Discord. In the story. In the actual story, right? Because she remembered those words. Hashtag canon. Stirwing breathed a sigh of relief and gave her husband "Good job" nod of satisfaction. Oh, that reminds me. Vision Harp turned her head to call over her shoulder. Your Majesty, remind me to give you a certain book later on that I have in my saddlebag. Apparently my future self wanted you to have it. Now that's something I don't hear every day, Celestia said with a bewildered blink. Then you and I live in a very different worlds, Vision declared, then directed her head forward again as they continued trotting towards their objective. I am still curious, how the hell did they not give Celestia the book yet? That would have been the first objective. That makes sense, her preparation came out of left field. Keep calm and further on. Okay, I guess Oh, there is no stopping after this XOXO. Okay. I guess we are reaching the Dark King. At last, the group drifted into the giant black crystal chamber that had a floating, spinning crystal obelisk in the center of the room, which intrepid adventurers realized that was the source of Dark King's scattered negative energy. As for the Dark King himself, he leaked through a small opening in the ceiling above and spilled inside, as the black smoke which spread tendrils from the opening like an octopus. Eventually, an upside-down horse head emerged, which was still made of black smoke. About the only thing that didn't look like smoke was the eyes. It was a red pupil surrounded by green and purple wisps trailing off the sides of the eyes. As he continued to float down from the ceiling, the octopus-like tendrils pushed against the ceiling, which caused him to propel down faster, as swimming through the water. Well, I can imagine him at this point. It's finally nice to see you, King Sombra said in a sinister tone. It's always good to examine my prices up. Excuse me? Vision interrupted with a raised hoof. I'm not sorry to interrupt your monologue, but I got a quick question for you. Vision pointed at the spinning dark crystal obelisk ahead of them. Is that really all the dark energy you gathered after 9,900 years? Because if so, I want to tell you, I thought it would be more impressive than this. King Sombra looked taken aback by that unexpected comment. He glanced back at the spinning obelisk, then looked back at her. Not enough for you? I can change that? King Sombra offered. I have no idea why I said Kong Sombra. I'm not saying it if it's enough or not. I'm saying I expected more than this. Vision clarified. You have been stealing dark energy for years now, and you had help. I thought you had collected more than this. I don't suppose you have any extra stored as well as somewhere else, do you? Because right now it's really starting to look that way. I thought you were supposed to be big, scary monster until I saw that battery supply of energy you have there. I see what Vision is doing. She is actually gathering information, trying to lure out the pride of King Sombra. To show us the fake. This is just part of the dark energy that he gathered. I'm sure of it as well. King Sombra narrowed his eyes at Vision slyly, catching on her ruse. He realized she was trying to find out if this was all of his energy supply, or if he had some stashed elsewhere. Even though he knew that, he felt arrogant enough to tell her exactly what she wanted to know, and he was even honest about it. He flew backwards and swam about the onyx obelisk as he said, Yes! In fact, this is all the dark energy I have gathered so far. But don't you worry, soon I will. Thank you, that's all I wanted to know. We should interrupt him again, then quickly warned her friends. You might want to cover your ears now. Right after she said that, she widened her eyes as widely as possible and emitted a screaming, high-pitched noise projected straight from her eyes that had practically focused on the onyx obelisk. The ear-piercing screech had indeed forced her eyes to cover their ears, just to make the noise bearable. That was all Celeste could do to protect herself from losing her concentration on the heart-forming barrier. Is it gonna be that easy? Really? That they are just gonna shatter the crystal and that's it? Within seconds, the noise started to stress the structural integrity of the obelisk. King Sombra looked at it in alarm, then glared at the young filly. He had no idea how she was doing this, but he knew right away this was something he had to stop, and soon. It is their objective, yes, that's true. King Sombra roared in anger, and dove at the adventurers, only to be repelled as soon as he started to cross the heartwarming barrier. Being made of nearly pure dark energy, Celestia's protective love barrier that would burn him to try to cross it. Realizing he could not cross it while the barrier was maintained, he decided to cross the threshold in a different way. A hand grew out of the black smoke and he lifted it as it ignited with purple, green, and black bubbles popping in and out all around the horn. Okay, I was trying to imagine how it would look like. In response to his spell, a series of black crystals suddenly shot at the little filly, mostly from the floor, but few of them also dropped from the ceiling. Vision dodged every attack so well, it was like she was reacting ahead of time. Yes, she was. She ducked low, twisted right, leaped up and ducked down again in order to weave around every single attack and even counter-attacked by smashing through the black crystals at precisely the weakest point of each crystal. This continued for 5 seconds until Sombra finally realized the little filly was simply untouchable. Can't touch this! He looked back at his quaking black obelisk in rising panic. Then looked back at the filly with a flash of hatred in his eyes. Then he decided to change his strategy by focusing more on the filly's companions. He figured that by doing so, it would at least distract the little filly. This time, the strategy was far more effective, but they still put up a good fight. Father Wind directly tore some of the crystal fragments out that attacked him, then used it to smash at every other crystal that came at him or Celestia. Starving also deflected and even smashed through the black crystal spike using her own crystal armor that was charged with the perfect type of energy to cause major damage to dark energy crystals. Her wings broke, then tore through the crystals, and her crystal-lined hooves also smashed through a bunch of them. All of the group, it was actually Celestia that had the hardest time defending herself because she poured much of her energy and concentration into the heart-swarming barrier, and thus she was somewhat too distracted to defend herself as efficiently as otherwise could have, but even she was not helpless. She smashed and dodged the crystal spikes as well, crushing her lens every which way to block, deflect, and damage the black crystals. Floating back and looking at this from a higher perspective, Sombra saw a weakness in their strategy. They were working with a very limited space. If they wished to remain within the barrier, so all he had to do was corner them with a tight space by attacking the entire area at once. All he had to do is make a trash crusher device. Just 2 big crystals. Smash them together. That's all he has to do. I mean, Celestia's heartwarming barrier is not that super big. He can make one of them, one crystal, which is big enough to that. So he brought his horn low and whipped it up as the cracking energy fled much more intensely. Suddenly thousands of crystal spikes rushed in at them simultaneously, and more followed right after them in constant barrage of assault. Amazingly, the little filly continued to hold their own, but the rest of them finally got nailed by that overwhelming attack. Once he finally got a grip of them, he used the black crystal to force Feather Wind, Celestia, and Starving down, but Starving suddenly had an unexpectedly flat. Wait. but Stormwing suddenly and unexpectedly fled with a curious sort of energy crawling down her body, which gave her a sudden burst of titanic strength. She tore her way out of the barrage, a barrage of crystals that attempted to suppress her. I think someone doesn't know about the plot armor, because it was kinda the Crystal Sage's teaching, but it was actually Featherwind's own invention, so it's not something that he knows what it is. That's what I expected, but someone realized he still had an upper hoof on the situation. He used some of the black crystal, the sacred Celestia, to infect her horn with black crystals, which cut off her magic as soon as her horn got clogged with too many interfering crystals. That in turn meant the barrier dropped, so Sombra dove in, rose in front of the vision, and caused a flash of energy from his own eyes. Seconds later, her own eye pupils were surrounded by green and purple energy, which felt like a ribbon outside of her eyes. Plot armor is made with love and starlight dust. It's still a crystal. And now you are calling it plot armor as well. I have impacted you. I guess Vision was caught by the fear attack. Everything paused for a few moments after that Vision's friends regarded her in her arm. During that time, the sonic scream from her eyes also suspended, which indicated that there might be something wrong with her. Meanwhile, Sombra floated back to gloat in victory. Nope, she has seen much worse things. I'm pretty sure that she has seen many really fearful things, and she got used to it. Vision is the most immune to fear. She was living in fear for a long time because of those stupid nightmares that she had since her young childhood or foalhood. The silence was deafening, considering the loud noise there was a moment ago. Then Vision rose a hoof to her eyes and touched her cheeks just under her eyes for a moment before glancing at Sombra's general direction and asked, "Did you just try to curse me?" What? King Sombra exclaimed in shock, very surprised she could move at all after being infected with the fear curse. "I'm blind, you doofus," Vision explained as she waved the hoof up and down in front of her face. I see the tough reference right there. Then she sighed and said, "You know what? Enough of this." She reached back into the saddlebag and pulled out a potion. Before she drank it, she said, "Featherwind, take care of the crystals for me." Then she quaffed the potion down in a hurry, taking large gulps each time. She did this by biting on the head of the bottle of the potion, then aimed her head straight up, allowing gravity to drain the liquid down her throat with many large gulps at a time. "With pleasure," Featherwind acknowledged, then flattered a red aura around the red crystal. He used that power to shatter all the black crystals in immediate vicinity, including the black crystal that has cloaked in Celestia's horn. Because of that, she was able to reignite her spell and raise the heart-warming barrier again. "What?" King Sombra exclaimed again. He didn't know there was another crystal science user in this party. Then he narrowed his eyes at Featherwind as he saw a small pony get up and red energy flat around the crystal he wore on his neck. A very familiar crystal. "Oh, I see. So you are the descendant I was looking for. How fortunate for me that you..." And he died. King Sombra trailed off in another jolt of surprise when Vision shot out of the protective field fast enough to blur. Before he could turn around,
She was already attacking the black obelisk with a rain of hoof blows and started high-pitched whine, which irritated every crack she caused with the rain of blows. His obelisk could not take much more of this. King Sombra tried to crash crystal spikes at her from all around the room, but since she was outside of the protective field, she had more room to maneuver. Since she was moving at an accelerated time flow, it also meant the black crystals came at her more slowly from her perspective, which thereby meant she had more time to react to them. She dodged each and every single attack effortlessly as she kept up her attacks against the obelisk. Not only that, King Sombra's black crystal started getting shattered due to Featherwind's efforts by the protection field. King Sombra realized he had a problem on two fronts. Nope, not only true. So he needed to divide and conquer. That's not how it worked, King Sombra. It's not dividing your own forces and conquer both sides. No. Divide the enemy and conquer them while they are shattered. That's how you divide and conquer. What you are doing is stupid. If you are concentrating on two things at the same time, it's not gonna work out. That's the second fall of King Sombra. He also realized by then that the little filly was psychic, and he even had an idea who she was exactly. Since she was able to dodge every attack a second ahead of time, he realized he had to plan even further ahead than that. Divide them, then conquer. Yep. Oh, he wants to divide them. Okay. But they are already divided. He used his horn to raise a black crystal wall between Vision and her friends. The black crystal was so dark, it had a cut-off line of sight on both ends of the wall, which made the wall itself further winds on the darkest. But this time, King Sombra constantly reinforced the wall, and even as Featherwind tried to tear it down, a matter of years it should. One which King Sombra has centuries of head start in mastering. Yeah, but this part right sounds like that he wants to divide his powers, his own powers, and then conquer. It doesn't sound like he wants to divide them. But he did divide them later on. At least he thinks so. Just a second. By the way. Of course my thing is not here. Okay. I will just pour it in my mug. I know I had coffee in it, but that doesn't matter. Shouldn't matter. That means the flavors? Does Pepsi's coffee taste like? No, I didn't have coffee left in the mug. I drank the coffee first, don't worry. What I meant there was some little residue left. Obviously it's coffee, it's gonna leave some parts of it in the mug until you wash it, so... Meanwhile, King Sombra waited about 2 seconds before issuing his next attack, but this time it hadn't come from his own power. As he expected, Vision suddenly abandoned her efforts to pound on the obelisk and instead desperately tried to get back to her friends so she could be in protective barrier. But the black crystal wall blocked her from returning to the party. Precisely how the King's Emperor planned it out, ahead of time. She tried to attack the wall itself, but it was too late. The black cobwebs projected horrifying screams of dark psychic energy, and since she was psychic, she was especially vulnerable to this form of attack, as long as she was outside of Princess Esther's protective heart-swarming barrier that neared her. Vision collapsed on the ground, screaming as waves upon waves of centuries of pain, fear, hatred, and misery poured down on her, all at once, and her empathic mind could not silence the overwhelming screams at this level of intensity. I mean, she should be not fully immune, but she should be less vulnerable to that. Because of the nightmares, don't you think, Quill? It's basically a double-edged sword. She is vulnerable because she is psychic, but she is less vulnerable because she is psychic. She was psychic since the beginning. That's true, but this is an overwhelming attack, and the psychic can silence the screams. Featherwind and Starving glanced at each other, spooked when they heard Vision's horrified screams. They also saw waves upon waves of black cloudy energy splash ruthlessly against Princess Celestia's protective barrier, which gave them a pretty good idea what took down the little filly. No, I didn't skip a paragraph. But I can tell that Vision could actually stop the screaming. I mean, she has the sonic screwdriver in her eyes. Doesn't she? It can actually nullify with the same wavelength. It can stop the screaming that she hears. Cheese and biscuits! Starving cursed. She shouldn't have rushed outside of the barrier. I think we forget sometimes how young and cocky she is. Featherwind realized she's a powerful filly, but youth and inexperience got her this time. It's a psychic scream, not a sound scream. Oh. It would still work. We are talking about a sonic screwdriver, Quill. It works on everything, unless it's wood. Being incorporeal, Kingsover poked his head through his own black crystal wall. Thank you, my new slaves, for delivering me to the Urkor herself. That's been a thorn in my side for quite some time. When I break her, she will instead warn me of every potential impending attack to my sovereign throne. As for you three, I will address your defiance to my supreme authority right now. And she is not as scared as it's used than the doctor. Yet. We have to add it. Yet. We know later on, as an older psychic, she is gonna be definitely better. Again, spoilers. She's gonna survive this. And she's not gonna be enslaved. Quicksilver floated even further into sight. I must admit, you surprise me in several regards. You are strong, resourceful, and powerful. When I bend you all to my will, you shall become my greatest lieutenants, except for you, Celestia. You shall be my general. When I finish with you, you shall become known as the Breaker of Daylight. Dawnbreaker. Then everybody who once looked up to you in hope will instead cover in fear of our combined might.
That's true, yet. As old doctor it is, though it might take a very long time to catch up.
Yep.
You are deluding yourself as usual, King Sombra, says this, scored back defiantly. I would sooner die than be used as an instrument to betray my beloved subjects.
King chuckled darkly, then said, So be it, Princess of the Sun. It doesn't really matter to me. I will conquer Equestria either way. And of course, I already know what you fear.
You won't break me this time, Sombra. I came prepared, says the family declared. You will find I am not so easily trapped by your nasty tricks again.
And she got traps in her nasty traps again. Just as easily. King Sombra chuckled darkly again, then said, What need have I of the fear cause, when I already know what you fear? It's true that I cannot bypass your barrier, while you maintain it for the moment. Well, actually that's a lie, haha! I can bypass it at any time I wish. I've only been allowing you all to think that you stood a chance. But the truth is, you were all doomed the moment you entered my domain.
You lie,
says the spat with a firm glare of Sombra. My dearest Princess of the Sun, when will you ever learn that you can never outmatch me? I will crush you every time, just like I did the last time. But you had help back then, didn't you? Your sister actually proved quite formidable. More so than I had ever anticipated. And I already started with higher expectations of her.
Don't you dare speak of my sister, you monster! Sesta demanded. You are not worthy to speak her name.
Calm down. Featherwind soothed Celestia. He just tried to get inside your head, like he always does. You accuse me of being unworthy to speak her name? Then what about you, Celestia? What makes you more worthy? You turned your back on her, and she became a monster for it. And you dare to look down upon me for what I've done? Heh! Pathetic as always, princess. Celestia narrowed her eyes further at him, then closed her eyes entirely.
I shall not listen to you any further. You are unworthy of my attention. I cannot hear you. La 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 la.
Just like a little child. And here I thought you were good at diplomacy, but very well. If you will not listen to me, then perhaps you will listen to my new ally, Princess of the Day. Meet an old familiar acquaintance of yours, Princess of the Night.
What? Featherwind thought to himself, and in horrified shock, as he regarded King Sombra with widened eyes. No, don't tell me.
No, don't tell me, Featherwind, that you are gonna fall for it. It's an illusion. Obviously. It's a trap. King Sombra waved his horn, and two crystal columns grew up from the floor and down from the ceiling, but they did not quite touch. They met closer to the middle, but considering how high his room was, the opening was actually closer to the ground in order to make it less distant. Between the two columns, black smoke spiraled into view, except it was not completely dark. It had images of stars in the swirling black vortex. It spiraled further and further outward, until it covered the circumference in the open space between the two columns. Then from the center of the starry image, a miniaturized image of a mare emerged. It's a trap! Yep. What used to be an image of open space and stars became the mane and tails of his new pony. Despite being almost totally black, she glowed a bit as she bathed in a little light, and her hide also twinkled like the stars. Her eerie eyes glowed like moonlight, and were shaped as silver slits much like a reptile. She had small chest guard with the image of the moon on it, and she also had a helm that was similar to her battle armor, but it lacked the upward curving blade in front of the horn. Like her battle armor, she also had the hoof guards on her hooves, but it rose quite a bit higher, probably reaching up just below her kneecaps. She laughed maniacally and dramatically upon arrival, which helped to reveal her nightmarish jagged teeth. Sister? Celestia asked in surprise and hope. Don't call me that! Nightmare Moon shouted in objection. And Celestia, objection! The sister that you know died many centuries ago when you decided to hog all the attention and allowing friends of our land. I am Nightmare Moon now. She narrows her eyes at her sister and spat a wicked grin on her face. Do not ever forget that, she said in a slow, lower and subtle-like voice. No, it's just another thing. Celestia closed her eyes and shook her head in denial. What's wrong, Celestia? Are you going to ignore me again? Nightmare Moon asked in an accusing tone. My sister is imprisoned in the moon. There is no way you can be her, Celestia insisted. Ah, but there is a way to contact her from the moon, King Summer pointed out. The science of crystals is a great way to many possibilities, and I found myself highly motivated to establish dialogue with her after you cast her out. The last time I encountered her in person, she finished me off in the Crystal Empire. Before that, I offered her to join me as my queen. At the time, she refused, but she has become a lot more, shall we say, amenable to my suggestion since then. Amenable? Okay. I just checked the word. Of course I have. Nightmare Moon agreed with a simple purr. I have learned better since than who my allies really are. Princess Celestia, I don't think this is a bluff. Had I been announced. That is really her. Somehow he's found a way to contact her. Another day. Yay! Are you sure? Says Dash with a voice full of fear, mixed with a desperate hope. Fireman closed his eyes as he thought about an earlier conversation with Princess Luna in one of his dreams, and one thing in particular that she had said to him. I was a terrible mare in my time in the past. I must confess, even I encountered you once during my time as Nightmare Moon. While I do understand that hasn't occurred for you yet, I see this moment as one my only chance to apologize for the grief you will suffer at the hooves of my own past self, for she will not apologize for her actions. Please. She bowed her head to him, briefly closed her eyes and requested earnestly, forgive me. I do. I know how beautiful you actually are. Yes, Paladin said as he opened his eyes. I am sure. Luna? Celeste said in a stunned voice as she looked back at Nightmare Moon, tearfully. I must remind you, Princess Celestia, that I no longer wear the title. You will refer to me by my true name, Nightmare Moon. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I just can't take Nightmare Moon seriously. She screamed at the end of the sentence. My mind is screaming as well. A flash of dramatic lightning and thunder issued about her when she screamed her name, but it remained confined to an illusion which fit within the projected image between the two crystal pillars. This is in character too. She also has showmanship. Yeah, but for some reason the police didn't make fun of her because she also had power, unlike Trixie. Consider this, Celestia. Kingston were put in, seeing an opportunity to dive a dagger further into Celestia's heart. My minion, Puppet Master, knew exactly where to go and what to do to inflict much terror as possible in every area he invested. But ask yourself this, how did he know? How did he know where to go and when to strike? How did he know exactly what each and every target feared the most? He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't even know that what we saw was actually true. He was actually searching for a mare in the desert, which is quite kind of impossible task. Why ask her intelligent questions, my dear? She is so stupid, naive and hopeful to figure it out. Nightmare Moon mocked. No! Celestia realized in horror. As she did so, her heart-forming barrier started to flicker and fade, just as they planned. Your Majesty, the barrier! Starming cried in alarm. This is exactly what he wants. Don't listen to them. As Celestia herself said earlier, Puppet Master strives his fear with unusual precision. If they fear clowns, he animates a puppet that looks like a clown. Okay, that makes sense that they would know their nightmares. Oh! Nightmare Moon tilted her head at her former sister. Did I give you too little credit? Did you figure out that it was me all along that informed him where to go, whom to strike, and how to strike? Lest you forget I visit ponies in their dreams, so I can inflict terror upon them. So of course I would know exactly what they fear. That is, if Puppet Master is properly informed. I just thought that Puppet Master was something like a mimic, that he doesn't actually know what they fear. He would just happen to make those things appear. Because, oh, I guess you fear that. I assumed that was what was happening. They don't, those things don't know either. But this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense, if that's true. Why? Celestia asked Nightmare Moon carefully. Why now? Why work for King Sombra? You know what he did to Kingston Empire? Because, Princess Celestia, unlike you, King Sombra has promised me to release from the moon as soon as he gathered enough negative energy to do so. Nightmare Moon answered. With my help, he achieved exactly that, but then we shall rule together the Crystal Empire. All shall bow before us or face extinction. She has agreed to rule by my side as the Queen of the Night. King Sombra rallied with a wicked satisfaction. I made it offer to her before, but she was blind back then with her foolish loyalty to you. But things have changed since then, in my favor. Not only one allied to you, that had actually managed to slay me, will instead forever rule by my side, and all of Equestria shall never again know the light of the day. All shall learn to fear the night. No! Celestia's whimpering voice quivered as she collapsed to the ground and covered her head with her fur hooves. Sister, what have you done? This can't be! This just can't be! I can also hear the glaive that she was holding with her wings actually falling on the floor. And with each clang, the whole area that she is protecting, the barrier, is fading away. Princess! Sterling said with worry and sympathy. It's her sister, Sterling. Padavid pointed out. Of course this would be deeply personal to her. Prepare yourself. I will try to raise the barrier as soon as hers collapses. Everything is collapsing all around you, Princess Celestia. That woman mocked. Once I was your sister and only a friend until you betrayed me. Now I shall hold Equestria as the eternal queen of the night, and I have you to thank for my wonderful transformation. Without you, I would still be as weak and pathetic as you are being right now. I had to. Can't you understand? I had to banish you. Stella said mournfully as her barrier continued to fade and flicker away. You refused to see the moon. You were intent on keeping the world in an eternal night and inflicted it with a never-ending nightmare. I love you, sister, but I love our subject as well. You mean you love them even more? Nightmare corrected with an insisting tone and somewhat upraised muzzle. You chose them over me, and look where it got you. No. I love you just as much. Can't you understand? You are my sister. I've been lost without you for all these years. I've sang to you every time I lovered the moon. They even made a music video about it. Don't you have YouTube on the moon? Yeah? And how is that working out for you? Nightmare Moon wondered aloud, with a slight tilt to her head. Now you are the princess of the sun and the moon. If your precious subjects adored you before, I'm sure they'd all worship you now that they have no other choice. I just read what you wrote. It's MoonTube. You stole my domain as well. I spit upon you for that final additional insult. I can't wait to banish you to the moon as soon as I get out of here. Then we will see how much you like it. Know this well, Princess Celestia. As much as you think you love me, I despise you. King Sabra opened his mouth and patted it through with delight at how much this information visibly tortured Celestia. Featherwind prepared himself to raise the barrier, feeling confident that Celestia's would soon collapse. I'm actually wondering how is it still holding. Because he knew King Sabra had her in the most painful hold possible, and nothing he could have said or done would change that. An attack of this nature was just too personal. There was no way something like this would not tear her apart inside, and King Sabra knew that. Celestia's emotions were more important to maintain the Heartful barrier, which was specifically empowered by love. He knew this because he encountered magic like it before. It was used in the creation of Crystal Heart after all. Curses! This is why I hate dealing with evil geniuses. Contingency plan after contingency plan. No matter how strong I got over all this journey, I found a way to rip everything apart. This is why I feared Sombra. As formidable as I knew him to be as an ally, I knew he was just as capable, if not more so, as an enemy. Then Featherwind, her stirring, start to sing. Equestria, the land I love. The same song. She sang it softly and delicately at first, but rose her volume as she resumed it. King Sam was glad at storming for this. Nightmare Moon brought her head back and tilted it to her left side with a confused, "What are you doing?" kind of look. It was soon apparent, however, when Celeste joined the song. Excuse me? What? How does Celestia know this song? I mean, for Stormwind, Featherwind, and everybody else, it makes sense that they know this song because in the future this song was written. But at this point in time, this song should not be here. The Solis Games is a national anthem for quite some time. You know what? Now it actually makes sense. No, Quill. They went back in time. It became a national anthem with all the ponies and horses. It was being given from mother to child. Every pony actually learned this song. They probably sang it in their bed. So basically they caused the time paradox by singing that song in the past. And they caused it to become hearable by Celestia and singable. There we go. Celestia joined the song. That's where we were. Doing so helped to remind her why this battle was important and what she was fighting for. They looped the song over again when it was finished and sang with more passion the second time. Celestia got up and her barrier became firm again. Such plots are common in Doctor Who. Suddenly stared at his wife in amazement. So many times she had proved wise enough to just know what to do or say when it matters the most, and he fell in love with her more deeply after that. His love for her was already so intense that its increase actually felt a bit painful to him. He needed more time to adapt to the new standard before he could regain any sense of true comfort. What are you doing? Nightmare Moon demanded to know. Stormwind and Celestia just continued to sing, and soon Featherwind joined in as well, as they kept looping the song. Pigs will always struggle to the last. That doesn't make them any less pitiful. Kingston was pat in disgust. Let them struggle against the inevitable. In the end, it won't make a difference. My queen. King Sombra's billowing, black smoky form, both in Nightmare Moon. I beg your indulgence, but I will have to cut this conversation short. I'll deal with this vermin myself. Then, we will be soon together. Nightmare Moon sighed tiredly, then waved him off dismissively. Oh, very well. Do not keep me waiting too long. As you should know, I am not a patient mare. Of course, my queen. As you wish. King Sombra said politely to his crimson eyes. Flashed. Wow. As his crimson eyes flashed red, as he regarded the trio with a look of evil excitement. So let's stop this. Okay, that's a little bit too light. I didn't actually think that we would be this far. This should be nice. During that time, his sun crackled with purple, green, and black energy. In response, the columns shrank back into the floor and sailing back behind him. Then he spoke to the trio, even as they mostly ignored him, instead focusing on their song. What is it you mean to accomplish with this fool's errand? What you are managing to do is still inevitable. This tactical arrow shall not serve your main objective, because it's no threat to me. You can sing as much as you wish, until either your throats run dry, or your magic runs out. I might have been willing to watch you struggle and scream purely for the sake of my own amusement, but my queen has instructed me to be saved. So enough of this charade. King Sombra faced the direction of the obelisk. His eyes flashed for a moment. After that, huge waves of black energy exploded over and over again from the obelisk. It also tore apart Princess Celestia's shield and casted out all magic in the entire room, except for dark magic. King Sombra modified the dark energy, so it would not be lethal for his guest physically, only magically. Then he sneered at his guest. See? I told you that you were doomed the moment you came here. I could have used this power at any time I wished. I was only reluctant because it cost me so much of its energy to perform this. But with this power in place, no magic can possibly function in this room, except for dark magic. Again? Telling the enemy that, oh, I wasted a lot of power. Evil genius. Genius. Which also meant Starving could not stand at all. When magic collapsed, there were no magic to empower Crystal's spine either. She fell on the ground, once again paralyzed from the neck down. You bastard! She cursed. Dark King, you cheater! Fed up in the accused. Are we so formidable that you have to resort to such tactics to defeat us? Don't you want to watch a scrum? Don't you want a challenge? What I want is victory, and I will achieve it at any cost that is required. That is what separates me from the likes of you. I will do whatever it takes to succeed in my goal, while the rest of you draw a line and insist you will not cross beyond it. I will protect my subjects, says the girl in determination, as she struggled to do exactly as King Sombra suggested. She tended to tap into dark magic and discovered that it was actually working. King Sombra was not bluffing. Dark magic functioned in this otherwise temporary anti-magic zone. Well, I'm impressed. We know that Celestia knows dark magic. King Sombra said with a smirk, are you so willing to protect your subjects that you would sell your soul to darkness just to protect them? You realize that even if you succeed to purge me, you will replace me as the next tyrant? Celestia, no! Starving cried out desperately. Better one triad rather than two, Celestia insisted, as she crouched a bit in a firm stance, while glaring harshly at King Sombra. Her own ignited with a more and more sparkling dark energy, and her eyes transformed into what King Sombra had, a green background with saving purple energy protected off the side of her eyes. I believe in my subjects. If I fall to darkness, somebody will rise and defeat me someday. Love and harmony shall always prevail in the end. That is something you have never understood. I will tear you apart, just to lighten their burden a little. Then afterwards, it shall be my turn to die. Huh. So be it. Women can be so entertaining sometimes. King Sombra said in amusement, then turned to face Celestia fully. You realize, of course, that I have far more experience with dark magic. You will have to best me if you wish to rule Equestria as the next tyrant in my stead. But either way, I will ultimately win in the end. Go back to Tartarus, you fiend! Celestia screamed in a somewhat muted voice as she shot a huge beam of dark energy, which she returned and matched hers with a magical beam struggle. But Celestia struggled to maintain her beam. King Sombra grinned in amusement. To him, she was not even a challenge yet. He kept up the pressure just to toy with her a little longer, and if she managed to surprise him and beat him, then it would only amuse him further in the end. Curses! Father pounded the ground with the hoof. Every single turn, every single contingency you have thwarted, he makes it look easy. But I know it's only because he started with a massive tactical advantage. Years and years of accumulated dark energy would indeed have a lot of power. The only consolation here is the fact it's costing him a lot of power to take us down like this, but he figures he will only replace it faster when he enslaves the four of us. Crystal Sage, we need help! Federman pleaded inwardly at his secret ally. If there's anything you can do for us, anything you can think of, I'm all ears. Done. Listen carefully. Crystal Sage responded immediately. A moment later, Federman inwardly heard Angel Song's voice. A pure and uplifting voice instantly banished all of Federman's fears. He listened entranced. As the song rose higher and higher. The song had no lyrics to it. It was simply an uplifting voice. Just a second, by the way. Then we had an angelic voice. Angelic music. I don't know. This is what she is right now. Slowly fading away, all the darkness. And hopefully this is gonna be good. No, that's not the best. Nope. There we go. That's more like it. It all sounds goofy and cute. This is more like it. It actually fits because the title is Hidden Land. And sorry, I had to do some things. Obviously we are in the crystal right here. Wait! Just thinking of it. Can't Featherwind stop the time by going into the crystal? It was simply an uplifting voice. Then the song radiated out in the real world. It surprised Celestia and King Som ran off, and they both suspended their dark magic beam struggle, as they both searched around for the source of the song. What they spotted was Featherwind started to float off the ground with his mixture of silver and red aura mixing and moving across his body. His mane flowed as if blown in the wind, despite the fact there was no wind. Music radiated from the red crystal, and the voice of an angel filled the room. Oh, did I stop this time with the crystal? Okay. As it did so, it drove back the darkness, and so did almost everything in the room. Princess Celestia calmed down as she listened to the song in awe. Stormwind regained just enough of her strength to stand back up as the magic of her spine got restored a bit, and vision started to recover as well. King Sombra was the only one having a difficult time with this. He was shaking his head back and forth violently, trying to desperately to stop hearing what was an awful noise to him. It's a psychological attack. No! 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 Stop it now! Stop that infernal noise! King Summer cried out in anger and pain. The song was familiar to him, but unlike his original self, the Dark King despised the song as much as his true self once loved it. King Sobra's soul truly was devoid of any love and goodness, so a song this pure could only cause him agony. Noticing that the song was causing him pain, Vision decided to twist his proverbial dagger further into his back heart. She used her sonic eyes to enhance the song, making it radiate and echo throughout the room. King Sombra tried to cover his virtual ears, but that was not effective at all, since his whole incomparable body was basically one giant ear. He roared in agony as he violently shook his head back and forth, eventually doing it with unnatural speed. His head became a constant blur of motion that was creepy to behold. Then he exploded. The black obelisk slowed in its rotation, then stopped, then cracked, as white light spilled from it more and more. The angelic voice was destroying it, but this time Kingston was in too much pain to intelligently respond to this attack. He just kept shaking his head at super speed and roaring in agony. I suggest we leave. We'll call out to our friends. We don't want to be near that thing when it explodes. That narrative energy is kind of hostile to our health. Besides, it's going to be so peeved at us. Celestial and Storming Cemetery's gasped at Vision's language. I see what you did there. I'm just so peeved. Fluttershy. But Featherwind quickly said, "Agreed, let's move." Featherwind called, then turned to gallop away. The black obelisk was so damaged that it would soon explode, even if the source of its irritation departed. "Everybody, let's fly!" Featherwind suggested. "Vision, eject your wings." Roger. Vision pulled a cord that allowed her saddlebags to do exactly that. "Everybody, leap!" Featherwind commanded. He did the same, and he tucked his limbs into the four corners of the cloak's pockets. Celestial, Storming, and Vision all jumped up, just in time to receive a massive blast of wind that shot them out of the cave at high speed. The cave rocked violently as the black obelisk exploded behind them. Huge waves of negative energy spread from it that it was so intense it would instantly kill any living creature standing close to the center of the blast. Waves upon waves of dark energy projected onwards, and the black crystals rained upon the desperate adventurers as they flew on the cave at high speeds. Storming and Celestia tried to guard the rest of the party from some of those attacks. Storming did it with her own body, which endured the heat thanks to her armor and magically enhanced endurance, and Celestia did it with some force field magic. With that many projectiles coming at them, however, it was impossible to dodge or deflect them all. They all got hit and injured multiple times, but the most severe part was it. One of the wings of Vision's glider got torn off completely. Featherwind had to replace it with a crystal wing in a hurry, but it was heavier, so he also lifted her up telekinetically, at least until they shot out the exit of the cave and crashed into the snow beyond. And they did never look back, because cool guys don't look at explosions. They got knocked unconscious for a while, long enough for them to be uncertain how long they were out. Storming was the first to recover and tried to shake her companions back to consciousness. Vision was the next to recover. Because of that, Vision was able to pull out smiling swords from her saddlebag and use them to get Celestia and Featherwind to recover more quickly. They aren't our guys, though. You can call girls guys as well. It's gender neutral. If you say it like that. Just in time too. They heard the monster's groan rise up in the air. King Sombra would soon to be upon them. At the moment, they felt too injured and exhausted to fight him effectively. Although Stamming was recovering stamina in a hurry, with Vision's broken glider wing, and its crystal wing barely had adequate replacement. However, she was forced to retreat by Hoof. No other pony felt willing to abandon her, so they all grabbed away together as fast as they could. The snow slowed their retreat, and the cold hindered their muscles. Retreating delayed King Sombra's arrival, but he was catching up far faster than they could retreat, because he moved faster to begin with, and he was not hindered by the terrain at all, due to lacking a corporeal body. Cool people don't look at explosions, they just trot around, turn around and trot away. We should call them cool ponies. This isn't going to work, we have to stand and fight. Sterling called back to her friends. She was pretty banged up too, but she was recovering the fastest, even visibly so. The right side of her face was partially partially crushed, even with the helmet to protect her head, but it was slowly morphing back to normal. Summon a projection of me, and have everybody stand behind you. Crystal Sage mentally called out to Father Wind from within the grass crystal. Yeah, I thought of that too after I sent the message. Everybody, get behind me! Father Wind asserted as he turned to face King Sombra. I think I have a plan. I hope you know what you are doing. Father Wind told him warmly to Crystal Sage. I hope so too. Crystal Sage agreed. Is it gonna be a... Are you gonna give me a cliffhanger? Because I see the side that we don't have too much left of this. Father Wind ignited his horn and created a holographic projection of a Crystal Sage. Of the Crystal Sage. Of Crystal Sage. Complete with his flowing red scarf. He was a full-scale 3D image of him. He looked like he was actually standing there, except he was a bit transparent. Kinda like a ghost he actually was. He glanced back at Father Wind's companions in a moment of concern, then turned to glare firmly at the swift approach of his evil counterpart. The sight of his good counterpart made King Sombra slow his approach. He was supremely peeved at that moment, but this was an unexpected encounter he had not met in centuries, and one he intended to savor and assess. They actually got locked in a silent staring contest with each other. King Sombra's eyes burning with fury, and Crystal Sage staring back with unshakable resolve. As Father Wind looked upon this, he was once again reminded why he admired his teacher so much. Eventually, and mysteriously, King Sombra started to back away for some reason. The more he retreated, the faster he retreated, but he never stopped staring at his good counterpart. This continued until it faded out of sight in the snowy blizzard. Nani? What? That deserves an explanation. I agree. Celeste demanded as she approached and stared down at the holographic image of Crystal Sage. He could have finished us off. Why did he instead choose to depart and let go? Let us find a better shelter before we get into this discussion. Crystal Sage suggested. Come with me. I think
I know where there is a cave nearby. I don't like this ending. I really don't like it. I hate it. I hate it. This makes me want to go further to the next chapter. But I actually have to stop at this point. Oh, I don't like it. Why? Why? Because it's a cliffhanger. Because there is no explanation. I know there will be an explanation in the next chapter, but it's gonna be the next chapter. I know I don't have to wait too much, because tomorrow I will be able to do the next one, which is gonna be the last chapter actually. And tomorrow we will be able to finish off the whole chapter. Any prediction as to why King Summer pulled back? I have absolutely no idea. None whatsoever. I mean, you said he wanted to savor this and assess this situation, that his real self is there. That's something to look forward to. Now they also have the recover too. Well, they are almost dead. And they also have to get a new wing for Vision. And we know that she will get one later on. Okay, I'm not gonna look at this. No. Let me close this down. No. Okay. That's my background. Don't look at that. And it's very good that too. I was actually almost started reading. I almost started spoiling myself. So no, I had to close it. Damn you! But it actually fits that Angel Voices song was actually the winning thing right here. And we don't need the Hidden Land song right here. Let's change it to a little bit. This one. I have some icy tunes right here. And these are all from Mystery Dungeon. Just to get as a reminder. Also, this should be free to use. Did you think the heroes put up a good fight? Or they were cheap and too much by Deus Ex Machina? I have a feeling that they could have put up a better fight, and Vision, even though she is not experienced, she did the same mistake as Searing Wind. However, do you think Sombra and Nightmare Moon was portrayed in this chapter? I have to tell you, I loved how you portrayed Sombra and Nightmare Moon. It was actually fitting, all of their behavior. was really fitting. I have no problem with that, none whatsoever. And even though had I been said that what they see is true, that Nightmare Moon is here, she was not actually there. It was still a... Yes, maybe King Sombra established a connection between them, that they can talk or Skype with each other, basically. But she was not there. We know that Celestia should know how Nightmare Moon feels, and Nightmare Moon is not her sister. We know that. It's Luna. They share the body, but they are not the same I almost said person, but they are not the same pony. She should learn that. Yeah, it was magic that made that connection. And we actually saw some kind of magic that reminds me of that in the actual series. And to tell you the truth, even the map is kinda like that magic. But I was talking about the portal that goes to the real world, to the human world. That is based upon the same crystal magic as well. It's percentage of separation, painful yearning, and hope of reuniting with her sister. Cecily prevented the nightmares for centuries about banishing Luna. Yeah, that's true, and I mean, what did she expect? To tell that I don't know what she expected. And we know that this is way before Luna gets out of her prison. It is way beyond that. I don't know, like 70, 80, 100 years? I don't know how long Granny Smith has lived. We know that Granny Smith is just a baby Smith at this point. Or maybe now a little bit older, but still. The encounter was agony for Celestia, but slightly comforting too. At least she kind of got to see her. And also, she got to speak with her. Obviously, it doesn't feel right that Nightmare Moon would actually be the queen of King Sombra, which I actually don't believe. There is two sides of this coin that Celestia and everyone is forgetting. We are talking about King Sombra, and we are talking about Luna. I know they are not the same, but one of them, even if this plan is succeeding as they want, one of them is gonna betray the other. Either King Sombra is not gonna let Nightmare Moon out of the moon, or Luna is gonna stab King Sombra in the back. Because don't forget, even if Nightmare Moon was a harsh and tyrannic princess in the future, she actually kept her subjects safe, while King Sombra only wanted to enslave them. That's the clash of interests. It would cause a lot of trouble for King Sombra.
Who's the portrayer here? Do you also see smash it with Crystal Sage in him? Does his portrayer highlight symmetries and differences? Well, I'm actually confused how he didn't actually see the red crystal. How did he not feel it? I mean, of course he had a giant crystal that is filled with negative energy, but the small red crystal is filled with positive energy. He would feel it. He would feel it at the same time. He knows what it is. He should know what it is. And he shows that he knows what it is at one point. Crystal Sage used to be very loyal to the original Crystal Queen. If the red crystal wasn't used yet, once Featherwind used it, however, he quickly identified it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. One thing I have to say is really strange, which is when she stopped all magic, except dark magic, how come Stormwing's spine was not working? A spine, even if it's not magical anymore, it should still work as a normal spine, right? I should have added the question mark there on the remark about Crystal Sage later to the Quill. I'm not sure how it slipped there. Because it's a question. Too late, you have questioned it. I'm just kidding, by the way. But it's different. It's different. Because that was Crystal Sage. That was not King Sombra. The Dark Crystal, the Dark Star, doesn't share its powers. It gives some power to engulf everything, to feed upon the fear. The others that he gives power to actually gives out. That's the difference. There is a big difference between Nightmare Moon and King Sombra. Because I feel like King Sombra is actually, as you say in this story, King Sombra is basically influenced by the Dark Star. Nightmare Moon isn't. Nightmare Moon is just a manifestation of the Dark Past. That it's basically one personality of Luna. It's different. Stormwing's new crystal pile relies upon magic to function now, apparently. Yeah, that's a big flaw. At least you gave it a flaw. Some people actually forget to give their plot armors a flaw. Like Achilles had his heel, and everybody else is... What the heck? Just a second. You wanna laugh? Quill? I just got your message when you asked you online. I just got your message at that moment. I don't know what happened to Discord. But now I can answer you. Yes, I am online. But I won't be for long. Kingsover had some loyalty to Nightmare Moon. It might be small shades of his original self, but greatly twisted and corrupted. There is a big difference between being loyal to the Queen, to the Queen of the Crystal Empire, and Nightmare Moon becoming her queen or his queen. It's a bit different. Because he was loyal to the original queen as a servant, as a loyal servant. What if Nightmare Moon became the queen? It would be his queen as his wife. It would be very different. Actually, wait. I'm just thinking about one thing. Let me actually see any of two rulers in Equestria, other than obviously Shining Armor and Cadence. In the video Fall of the Crystal Empire, you remember that he offered Luna to join him before? Yes, I remember that. In this story, he is still interested, but now he is talking to Nightmare Moon. Cadence and Shining Armor. Other than them, we didn't see any other double pairings. Luna and Celestia doesn't work here. Don't even say that. I mean, as king and queen, we didn't see any of that. Right? Even Queen Crystallis didn't have any kings. For some reason. About that. I was about to say that. But I still have a feeling that we will see something about that in the show, so I'm not gonna think about that. How about Flareheart and the OC Pony that I just made up now? That wouldn't be canon. We know that. That wouldn't be canon. Unless the OC Pony is actually a canon. Which is actually the party canon that Pinky has. At least one of them. And that would not be a pony. And now I'm just making stupid mistakes. And stupid theories. I kind of feel unfulfilled. So what do I think of this chapter overall? Overall, this chapter was good until the ending. The ending filled me with rage. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's annoying that I know that I won't be able to continue this until tomorrow. I could continue it today, but then I wouldn't have any voice for tomorrow and I would be dead in work. So that would not be a good idea. Will you do Let's Play after this? No. I'm not gonna do Let's Play today. That's for sure. Especially since I'm tired. I just came home from home work and then I just started streaming. Tomorrow I will ask if the explanation satisfied you. And I will answer. Well, later, Dice. Tomorrow at the same time, we will finish this story. If I'm not too tired. I have to add this part. in brackets. If I'm not too tired. I will instruct you if I'm too tired. If I don't see anything, I will be here. If that's okay with you. But tomorrow we will know more. And we will know probably everything. But now, I'm gonna leave. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for listening to me, my reading of your story, and my stupid theories, and my stupid additions to the story. And see you next time. We will see if any of the music gets copyright claimed. Yeah, I know, that's the plan. I want to finish tomorrow. But now, I'm really leaving. See you next time. Bye bye.